All right.
This is what you were at school.
All right. Welcome to seminary today, guys. Holly, Dibba must be done. Jacob, Michael is on shares today.
Anybody seen him at school yet?
I think he was up in the front office. So, Asher will be saying our opening prayer. Bridget's saying the closing prayer. Chase updated his reading now. Ivy's the only one that hasn't. So, answer the journal question, which is physical pleasure of all kinds bad or good? Explain. On deck tomorrow we have Addie for shares. Schedule. I'll let you do that.
I'll handle that. I'll deal with that.
Okay. Then band concert tonight.
Who all is in this band concert? Berries of hands. You're playing.
It's gonna be so long.
Great. It's gonna be really long.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going.
It's one of the boring concerts where there's all the concert bands.
No.
Are junior highs doing their thing?
No.
Okay. You're gonna be up there. Nice.
All right. And then Jones party Saturday, probably, right?
Yeah. Because there's a dance
Dance
tomorrow
Friday.
night.
I'm actually
Yeah.
gonna punch you in the face with it.
Okay. So we'll get started.
Yeah. Thanks. So we've got some changes in schedule, you guys. I sent you a text and Kaylee, but tomorrow there's an assembly, so we're going to be here from 8:25 to 9, basically 9 o'clock. So I think that's like a Wednesday. A little bit longer, just a little bit longer than a Wednesday, because we need to get out until 9:05.
As if it was like advisory, the assembly is like the advisory.
It is.
I think it's before.
What?
It's what?
The assembly is right after second period, so by 9:20 you need to be in the grandstand. It says.
What?
Okay. And then obviously there's no school Monday, and then finals week, we're only in here for a short class Monday, and then we have our final Tuesday, and then we don't have this class the rest of this Wednesday and Thursday when the other people are taking their finals. So our last day will be Tuesday of finals week. Yep. All right. Do we sing? Yeah, okay. We have an unbirthday today. Addie, when's your birthday? July 1st? Okay. So let's sing a happy birthday to Addie. And a 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Addie. Happy birthday to you. A limerick. Goes like this. Here's a girl who's kind and humble, a top student and rocks the tumble. She's quick with that smile, has grateful on speed dial. But I ask you, can Addison rumble?
Crazy.
Happy birthday.
That means she's gonna do a fight at home party.
She's such a chill person. I was like, does Addie ever get into it? I don't know. Can she rumble? Let's assume yes. Don't provoke her. Jacob, Michael, let there be music.
140.
140? What does that happen to be, sir? Did you think to pray? Did ask anybody to play that?
Anybody who might
You want me to? I'll give it a go. You can sing this time. $140, 140. 40 y algo. All 7 verses? Okay. Uh-oh, weird key.
to be here today. Thank you that the year's wrapping up. Please help us to be able to focus on our classes and put the last bit of effort we need. Please help us to be able to help others and to be kind to those who need it. And I say these things in the name of Jesus.
Amen. Thanks. Okay.
So in Sunday school, we listened to a talk by Elder Uthor,
Was your mom teaching?
and talked about how church should be more like a car mechanic shop than a car dealership. And so we're all going there to get repaired and like fix ourselves and work on ourselves and not try to like completely change or start a new beginning, you know. It's kind of hard to explain. So like, you're not trying to completely change yourself every time. You're trying to make yourself better bit by bit. So yeah.
What is the part about so I get the part about mechanic is where you go get stuff fixed. What is it about the dealership that is what we don't want the church to be?
Looks like
They sell new cars, right?
you can build on yourself. It shouldn't try to change in one Sunday, like change your whole life.
All at once?
Yeah.
Gradually? Okay, good.
It's kind of an unrealistic goal.
It also seems kind of it's like at a dealership, they try to make everything look all nice and shiny. They make it smell like a new car. They want it to look as good as possible to get the highest price for it, right? So it's kind of like it's like a presentation of their cars to try to get you to buy them. And sometimes it might feel like that at church, where we think we have to be, how would you say it? It's like you have to be all shiny and new and perfect at church because you've said you believe in God and you've said that you're going to do your best. So you better darn well be doing your best and be believing in God, or else you're a hypocrite. And so there's this tendency to try to fake it at church, isn't there? In religious communities. That's why people are so into like pointing out hypocrisy and saying people are fake, because yeah, sometimes they are. There's a lot of pressure to try to be good and have all your stuff worked out. And that's, I think Elder Uchtdorf, according to what you're saying, Jacob, is trying to get us to understand this is a place where we go to fixed. We go there because we're broken. We go there because we have problems. That's why we're there. We're not there because we're all new and shiny and perfect and have got it all worked out. I heard somebody else say something like that, which was that church isn't like a country club or a social club. It's more like a hospital. We go there because we're sick, not because we're well. And everybody's there for that same reason, isn't it? And so as a community, we should be like, yeah, we're all here trying to figure this out and get better. Thanks for reminding us of that. Anything else? You'll be leaving in the morning tomorrow. You won't be here, or you will be here?
I won't be.
You won't be here? Good luck. Did I already put somebody on deck for these? I did. Jacob. Bar. Sweet. Let's get another on deck, shall we? Coming up
Oh, I need
next.
that paper. Oh, wait.
Oh, no, I'll get you one right here. That's great.
Yes.
Next. Haley. No. Asher. Asher's on deck. All right. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jacob. I'm a work in progress.
Jacob.
My parable is the Prodigal Son. It is Luke 15, 11 through 32. So basically, there was this man and he had 2 sons, and the younger one was like more adventurous than the other pretty much, or like wanted to like explore. And so when the younger left, he like journeyed far into the country and was wasted with riotous living, and was out. And then eventually he came back, and his father was super happy and still loved him, but the younger brother was a little jealous because the father was loving the little brother more than like him, even though he abandoned the family. But what I think the story, like the hidden meaning is that the Lord always loves us no matter what we go through, what our trials are. I guess living this truth means that even if we make mistakes, we still know that the Lord loves us no matter what we do. And does anyone have any examples from their real life that proves the story, I guess? No? Okay. Any insights or anything?
I think like, I don't know, I kind of felt like this a little bit with my older brothers, because sometimes I kind of felt like they were kind of idiots, and then like I expected, because like I wasn't doing the same stuff they were, I expected to get like more rewards, because like, hey, they're doing something stupid, but I'm not exactly like excelling or like doing anything great, I'm just not doing the same stupid thing, so I should be rewarded for that. But I don't know, that's just like not how it works. It's like, just focus on yourself and not like what other people like get around you. And one thing that's always interesting to me, because like, I don't know, my dad says this every once in a while, is like, just because someone else gets something doesn't mean it was taken from you. Like, if my dad decides to take someone, like, I don't know, my younger siblings like to, they call them one-on-ones, because like we have a lot of people in our family, so we don't get a lot of like one-on-one time with our parents. And so like sometimes my like younger siblings are like, Dad, can we go to like the like convenience store together and like get treats or something? And like then the other siblings like get mad, like, oh, why didn't I get anything? And it's like, well, just because they did doesn't mean it was taken from you. So just something to remember.
Just like the laborers in the vineyard kind of parable, right? The other day too.
The greatest parables are those the Spirit whispers to me every day.
You have a phrase? Asher, you're on deck.
Nice.
It's pretty easy to feel that way. If we spend a lot of our effort trying to be good, and then we see other people who haven't made the same effort for as long, feel like they're getting even more recognition than we get for consistently trying to choose well and to be good. It's almost like the people who are there all the time, you just assume they're sort of like part of the background, but the one who's showing up for the first time or coming back, or looks like they're a little bit like, I noticed it said EFY, for example, dropping people off. Lots of kids there, but the kid that looked like they might not be part of like the LDS kind of youth group or whatever, like a little bit edgy or something, got tons of attention. But all the people were like, just like regular good Mormon kids, like they're just kind of part of the background. But the one that was like, is like flock, all kinds of attention. I'm like, wait, okay, I get that, but what about like everybody else who's like here, you know, who's saying hi to them? And it's kind of, you can start to feel a little bit kind of
get your feelings hurt a little bit if you're not the one getting the accolades and you're there all the time. But I think what the Lord is saying in this parable is, I see you and I know you, and basically everything I have is yours anyway. It's all yours. You've already earned it, but we're going to welcome back this one who went astray and rejoice because he came back. We could spend 2 days on that parable. There's so much in there. We won't, because we want to hear what Asher has to say and all of y'all.
Okay. Hi, I'm Asher. I'm a work in progress. My parable is the one about new wine in old bottles. It's in, there's a lot of sources, but we're gonna do the one in Mark 2, verses 21 and 22.
Mark 2, 21 and 22.
Okay, you should read that in your heads so you kind of know what I'm talking about. But basically, more in verse 22, but it's talking about how you don't put new wine in old bottles, or else the old bottle will break and it kind of wastes the wine. Now, can I have Chase read verse 22?
Yeah, I read.
Yep.
And no man putteth new wine into old bottles, else the new wine doth burst the bottles, and the wine is spilled, and the bottles will be marred. But the new wine must be put into new bottles.
Okay, so this one was kind of hard for me to understand. It's, at first glance, you kind of think it's, oh, am I the new wine? Because if so, then is it like I shouldn't put myself in bad scenarios, which would make sense, except the prior verse, verse 21, you just read that in your head. It's about putting, basically putting a new cloth in an old garment to make it better, except that could be bad for the new cloth. And that kind of seems like almost, does that mean that I shouldn't say help someone? Like say they're the rent thing and I'm some new cloth, does that mean I shouldn't help them? And because that might rent me. But I think the entire verse is about being kind of careful about what you do. Because in this analogy, we're the new wine, and we should put ourselves in good situations. This can help, living this, I guess, ideal can help us kind of not dwindle out, because if we put ourselves in scenarios that I guess we shouldn't be in, like say you're doing, I don't know, just small things, like say you're just going and doing parties on Sunday, that's not overtly bad. It's not like killing someone, but that's like putting your new wine in old bottles and you'll just fail. Does anybody have an example from their life? I'm sure someone does.
Well, there was one instance where, kind of related to what you were talking about. There was this movie that I wanted to watch, and my mom, she told me that it might not be the best movie to watch. She wasn't like super sure, but I wanted to go do it with like a bunch of friends. And she warned me, she was like, I don't feel super comfortable with that movie, but I mean, it's up to you. And so, I just went and did it because I wanted to be with my friends. But the movie turned out being like not great. And so just like, it was kind of my own fault, but I think in that instance, like I put myself in like the old wine bottle, I guess. And so it didn't work out and I could have done something different. But that was what I chose, but I did learn from it. And so I think experiences like that you can learn from. And it can teach you to not do the same thing because you probably regret it.
Yeah, I guess it kind of lines up with the verses in that it's mostly just about putting ourselves in good situations.
So the reason why they would put the wine in the old bottles is kind of obvious, because they probably didn't have enough money or they wanted to save money. And I feel like that relates to us because we have the new wine, but we kind of sell ourselves short. Like with the Spirit, we have the Spirit within us and we can all become better, but we choose to not go to our full potential. I think that
same thing. The greatest parables are those the Spirit whispers to me every day.
Thank you. Sure. I have in my whole life never heard that interpretation of those verses. You're
Is that
an
good or bad?
original thinker. No, it's not bad. It's like it's great that because parables are meant to have various levels of meaning, right? And so go ahead and write your phrase. I think about like a snake or anything that sheds its skin. It fit it at first and it served a purpose. But the time came when it was growing that had to shed that skin in order to keep growing. If it didn't shed, it would just not grow or it would get stuck in its skin, right? It has to shed the old skin. Or think of like forests. They have to burn off the old wood eventually or else the forest will get sick and die. So fires that burn off the old stuff are actually necessary and helpful. So for us, we are always growing. And if we think we're going to keep the old us, the old bottles, and grow it into new wine, new understanding, a new way of living, constantly evolving into something better, we have to be willing to shed the parts of us that don't serve anymore. We're constantly chipping away at ourselves to try to reveal the best person that we can be. I think this is really useful for that. And actually, in that analogy, so as wine ferments, it creates pressure, right? It builds up gases, and the chemical nature of it can erode and weaken the clay and the leather pots, the vessels. So over time, it becomes brittle. And over time, if you put new wine in old bottles, it will cause it to explode, the pressure. So you have to always be willing to get rid of the parts of you that don't serve anymore, that they used to. There was a time when it was fine, but now that doesn't work anymore. We have to always be evolving and letting go what isn't serving us. And what Asher said, which is a great interpretation. Love it. Oh, Abby, you're up.
Okay. So my parable is the parable of leaven. I think that's how you say it.
Leaven, yeah.
Okay.
Who are you?
Huh? Oh. Hi, I'm Addie, and I'm a work in progress. So it's Matthew 13:33. Will someone read that?
I have it. Another parable spake he unto them, the kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened.
Okay. So this parable doesn't really have a story, but it says that the kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which we talked about how the kingdom of heaven is like the church. And so I didn't really know what leaven was, so I asked my mom, and she said it's like a yeast, so like you add it to foods and stuff. But I googled what like leaven does to food, and it adds more volume. So like you'll get more out of it if you add leaven into it. So to me, this means like you have to put like effort into something to get more out of it. So like if you don't add like the yeast to bread, it won't grow, but when you do, it'll you'll get more out of it and it'll grow. And I think like in the gospel sense, like when you go to church and you like pay attention and you put effort into it, you'll get more out of it rather than just going and kind of zoning out and not reading your scriptures at home and just kind of going through the motions. So that's what I thought. Does anyone else have any like personal stories? An example?
I'll just say one thing, that the kingdom of heaven, like the gospel of Jesus Christ, trying to live it, makes me better in every single other part of my life. It's like there's the gospel, but then there's all the other parts of me, and there's all the other parts of you, all the other hats you wear, all the other personas that you have in different places and different settings, right? But understanding and living the gospel of Jesus Christ makes you better in every single one of those, academically, intellectually, socially, physically. Every part of you grows when you accept and live the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I've noticed that in my life. I'm better and smarter in everything I do when I'm dialed in spiritually in the relationship I have with Christ. It just blesses me in every possible way.
Okay. Anyone else have something? Okay. So I guess you can live this truth by just paying attention, and instead of just going through the motions, like actually like trying to get something out of it instead of just doing it because your parents tell you to, or just to go through the motions. And the greatest parables are those the Spirit whispers to me every day.
That you guys are also leaven. God intends his followers, who are always going to be few in number compared to the rest of the group, that little bit of yeast put into like a big pot can make the whole thing rise. So you are meant to be the leaven socially and politically wherever you are. One believer, one dedicated disciple can change a whole neighborhood. It can change a whole friend group. And a few of you at the high school can actually make an impact on the entire high school as you are kind, loving, truthful, doing your best. That helps everybody, right? In that way, we are, as members of the kingdom of heaven, the leaven in the world. Bridget.
Okay, so mine was the sower and the seed, and that is in Matthew 13. It's like 1 through 9 and then 18 through 23, but I just want to read 4 through 8. So can someone open that up for me?
Matthew 13.
Yeah, 4 through 8.
4 through 8.
Grant, will you read it for me?
Who are you, by the way?
Oh, I'm Bridget. I'm a work in progress.
Hi, Bridget.
4 through 8.
Yeah.
And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, because they had no root. They withered away. Some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, and some 30-fold.
Thanks. So the man went out to sow grain, and the man represents God, and his message is the seed. That's what I got out of it. And like, just as like a seed starts to grow is like when you like start to like learn the gospel and like your roots are growing. But it talked about like different circumstances, how like the seed fell upon the path and the birds ate it. So to me, that was like Satan like giving ways like where the seed fell. So like you kind of like someone like shows up to church or something, but like then you get a reason not to go the next week and you just don't go again. So like I feel like that was like kind of like Satan. And then it was like some seed fell upon rocky ground. So like it did grow its roots, but it didn't like nurture it, and it didn't have like, it wasn't putting itself in the areas like Asher said. It wasn't putting itself in like a good wine bottle to have the ability to grow. And the seed fell along the bushes, which grew and choked the plants. So that's like, it's heard, but then there's like worries about like riches and like other worldly things, and that's it choking your seed. And then it's like it fell upon the good soil, and it was like bountiful with fruit, and like it brought all the good things. So that's like understanding the word of God and like sticking with it and going to church and living it and just like being dialed in, like Brother Jones said. So I think this makes it easier for today's society by just remembering for me, remembering to not let the birds eat it and not let the weeds choke me, because it's really easy to do, but if I don't do it, it's going to be so much better for me in the long run. And like the fruit will be like so bounteous. So like my blessings are gonna be great, and like my life will just be easier if I just stay on the path now. And it's harder now, and I feel like we don't see the results now as we would like when we're older. I feel like, and we have a family, and like I don't know, I feel like that's like the typical like, oh, you made it, like good family, good kids, like that's when I feel like I'll make it. So I just think staying on the path now is like how I can do that. So does anybody have any examples of letting their seed grow or getting it choked? No? Okay. The greatest parables are those that the Spirit whispers to me every day. Wait, do I write my thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they're anywhere. Great job, thank you. A lot of comments, but we're just gonna move it along. Next is Grant.
So I have a few that were pretty confusing. So, hi, I'm Grant. I'm a work in progress.
Hi, Grant.
Okay, so if everyone can turn to the first one, the two sons in Matthew 21:28 through 32. None of these are like too short or like too long, I mean, so we'll just kind of go around. Yeah, Matthew 21:28 through 32. And we'll just start over here with James and we'll go this way.
But what think ye? A certain man had 2 sons, and he came to the first and said, Son, go work today in my vineyard.
He answered and said, I will not, but afterward he repented and went.
And he came to the second and said likewise, and he answered and said, Go, sir, and went not.
Other than twain did the will of his father, which then came to the first. Jesus saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of God.
For John came unto you in the way of righteousness, and ye believed him not. Publicans and the harlots believed him, and yea, when ye had seen it, repented not afterward, that ye might believe him.
That's I think that was 32, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually really like this one because it's like it's like one of those questions that's kind of hard to answer. It's like which came first, the chicken or the egg? It's like if the first guy said he wasn't gonna do it, but in the long run he ended up doing what he was asked, but at first he said no, and then the other one said he would do it and he was like willing to, and then he never went and did what he was asked. So it's kind of like one of those things. It's like who would be like more at fault, and then it kind of says that like the person who like never actually did it would be more at fault, because it's like you're agreeing to, and like talking the talk is the easy part.
Mhm.
Like you have to have action in your life and like commit to doing stuff and then follow through.
Talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the next one, these next two like were really confusing to me, and I'm still not sure on the definition, so hopefully when we read it as a class I can come up with something. We'll just pick up with Jaron. So it's gonna be 21:33 through 44. So just the next verse basically.
What verse?
33.
Hear another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard, and hedged it around it, and digged a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to a husbandman, and went into a far country.
And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen, that they might receive the fruits of it.
The husbandman took his servants and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another.
Patty.
36, sorry.
Yeah.
Again, he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto likewise.
Yeah, 37.
But last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, they will reverence my son.
But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir, come let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance.
And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him.
When the Lord therefore of the vineyard cometh, what will he do unto those husbandmen?
They say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and he will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their season.
Jesus saith unto them, did ye never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, the same is become the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marveling, and it is marvelous in our eyes.
I'll just read the last two. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bringing forth fruits thereof. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but whomsoever it shall fall will grind him to powder. So this one was the most confusing to me, because it was like, I wasn't sure who was supposed to be the good guy in the story. Like, it was like, so this guy spent all of his time making this vineyard in this nice home, and then he like rents it out to someone, and then and then the guy he rents it out to is the one that's actually taking care of it and like making sure to water the plants and like take care of them and everything. And then when the time comes for the fruit to be harvested, the guy that actually owns it, not the guy renting it, is like, hey, I want my fruit, give it to me. And then he's like killing everyone that he sends towards him. So it's like, wasn't sure, it's like, is the guy who's killing them the guy in the right, or like the guy that like originally built the vineyard and everything. But so I'm still not really sure on that one.
For meaning, okay.
I have my touch.
Okay.
I wonder if it's talking about like God and his son. Because I wonder if God is like the householder who owns this vineyard, which is like the earth. And he's lent it to these husbandmen, who I guess in this time would be like the Jews, I guess. And God starts sending prophets to tell them like, hey, shape up. Christ is coming, shape up, but they keep killing the prophets. They keep killing the servants. And then over here it says the householder sends his son, which is like Jesus. They send him, but they also kill Jesus too. And then in verse 43 it says, I say unto you, the kingdom shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bring forth the fruits thereof. So maybe the people of the time, they failed because they killed the prophets and they killed Jesus. And now it's been given to another people. It's been given to the Gentiles to really have the truth.
Yeah, I really like that one actually. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay, and then now that I hear that, it kind of explains the next one I have as well. So I'll just explain this one instead of reading it. Yeah, we almost have to go. So, but the wedding feast.
1 minute.
Yeah, I can do it quick. So the wedding feast, basically this guy, this like king wants his son to get married, and then the son picks someone that the king doesn't approve of, and so they like run off and get married. And but he prepared this feast. He prepared this feast for them, and now it's just sitting there. And so he has two other people that are getting married have like used the feast. So it's gonna be like the Jews were originally like the chosen people of Christ's church, and then they like were the ones that ended up killing him. So the Gentiles are gonna be the ones that end up getting the feast. So it's like if we live our lives in accordance with what Jesus teaches, then we'll get his reward, and which is everlasting life. I think so. The greatest parables are those the Spirit whispers to me every day.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you, everybody. You're awesome. I'll let you go. Let's have a closing prayer by you. Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings that you give us for the chance to be here today in seminary, so that we can have a safe walk back to the school, and that we can organize the service today and finish the school year strong. We say these things in Christ's name.
Amen.